Anakin Skywalker and Darth Maul are two of the most hate-filled and aggressive fighters in the entire Star Wars universe. It's a shame a battle between the two never took place, and their timelines never properly intersected. But it allows us to sit here and fantasize about how a fight between the two would have gone. In this video, we'll examine each of the combatants and debate who would win in a one-on-one duel with both warriors in their prime. What if Anakin Skywalker fought Darth Maul? Let's begin by examining our two fighters, beginning with Anakin Skywalker. Qui-gon Jinn saw enormous potential in a 9-year-old Anakin and believed him to have been conceived by the Force itself. When his blood was tested, Skywalker's midichlorian count was off the scale, above 20,000. Which was reportedly greater than even Jedi Grandmaster Yoda's. As a result, Skywalker had the potential to become the most powerful Jedi in galactic history. He was the chosen one, the central figure in the Jedi prophecy that foretold the coming of the one destined to bring balance to the Force and destroy the Sith. The Dark Lord of the Sith, Darth Sidious, believed that Anakin Skywalker would eventually surpass both himself and Grandmaster Yoda in power. His prowess when harnessing the Force was off the charts, as he was able to telekinetically subdue both the son and the daughter simultaneously on Mortis. The father, who kept the balance between his children, even viewed Anakin as his replacement. When it came to lightsaber combat, Anakin was particularly skilled in the fifth of the 7 classic forms, Gem-So. He was able to deflect not only blaster fire with ease, but made good use of Gem-So's strength-based strikes and counterattacks to overpower or overwhelm his opponent. Form 5 was a physically demanding style, calling on the user to quickly transition from a dedicated defensive stance to an all-out, unrelenting attack. Anakin also made use of Form 4, Ataru, often incorporating its primarily acrobatic techniques into his dueling style. Now, let's take a look at Darth Maul. Sensing his potential with the dark side, Darth Sidious took Maul as an apprentice while he was still a child, and much younger than Anakin at that. The Dathomirian was raised to hate the Jedi Knights and desired to see the Jedi Order fall. Sidious would torture and abuse Maul, shaping him into a living weapon and powerful assassin. Maul mastered his anger, letting it burn in him, and under his master's supervision, began to turn his anger into hate. He became a strong and acrobatic warrior, one trained to be relentless against his enemies. Darth Maul learned to use a double-bladed lightsaber, which allowed for a much faster rate of attack, allowing Maul to unleash a rapid assault with minimum of movement. More slaughter per swing, as some would put it. Indeed, Maul, like Anakin Skywalker, had been trained in several forms of lightsaber combat, most notably Form 7, Juyo. This form was considered to be the most aggressive and was forbidden for Jedi to practice. Maul's own inner aggression complemented his use of the form, and he used it as his primary method of lightsaber combat, drawing heavily on the dark side to gain the ability to overwhelm opponents through sheer ferocity with his offensive strikes. Maul's use of Form 7 was enough for him to fight both Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi at once, despite Juyo's weakness to multiple foes. Maul also made use of the 6th form of lightsaber combat, called Nieman. Nieman represented the synthesis of previous forms by balancing the previous 5 to avoid many of their inherent weaknesses. However, it was also diluted and failed to achieve their full strengths. Jack of all trades, master of none, for lack of a better word. Though more revered for his skill with a blade, Maul's durability has to be taken into account. His power in the dark side was such that his desire for revenge alone kept him alive after he was cut in half. Now, let's examine the closest examples we have of Anakin and Maul squaring off to get a better idea of what this fight might look like, the first of which took place in this 2016 canon Obi-Wan and Anakin comic. At the Jedi Temple on Coruscant, Anakin and other Padawans were sparring with a lightsaber training droid, while Obi-Wan Kenobi, Mace Windu, and Chancellor Palpatine observed. Anakin turned a knob, and the droid took the form of Darth Maul, even igniting a double-bladed lightsaber. As they began to duel, Windu questioned why the boy did this. Obi-Wan informed him that Anakin had been asking detailed questions about their duel on Naboo, already demonstrating an interest in one day facing a Sith Lord. Palpatine saw it as Anakin trying to impress his teachers, adding that he wouldn't call it unexpected, but impressive. Like his master on Naboo before him, Anakin finishes off the Maul-disguised training droid by cutting it in half. Now, we have to remember that while this droid took the form of and fought like Darth Maul, the Sith warrior himself wouldn't have gone down as easily. Another example we can look at takes place in the Star Wars Legends continuity, specifically the Star Wars Tales No. 9 comic, in which Maul dueled Darth Vader. The fight was orchestrated by a Darksider cult called the Prophets of the Dark Side, who wanted Vader killed and replaced with Maul as Darth Sidious's only true apprentice, because they felt the former was tainted by his Jedi past and not worthy of being a Sith Lord. Vader received word of a possible rebel activity on Kalkar 6, a volcanic moon once controlled by the Sith. Upon arrival, however, Vader found that there was no rebel presence on the moon, as his stormtrooper escorts were killed by a mysterious assassin wielding a red lightsaber. Vader soon entered a hollowed-out volcano, where he was confronted by the cult, who revealed they lured him to the moon and had resurrected Darth Maul using Sith alchemy. The two Sith Lords engaged in a fierce lightsaber duel, going through the volcano and onto a bridge situated over a river of lava. Maul soon gained the upper hand and prepared to deliver the killing blow, but in one of the most badass Darth Vader moments, he responds to the resurrected Darth Maul's last words, "What could you hate enough to destroy me?" with "myself," before stabbing both himself and Maul through the stomach with his lightsaber, with Vader surviving thanks to his cybernetics. With all that context, let's now debate and speculate as to what a duel would be like between these two. The most likely time and place that these two could have faced off is on Mandalore during the events of Revenge of the Sith, with Anakin taking the place of Ahsoka Tano. Before Maul dueled Ahsoka, he even explained that this was his original intent.
In fact, I was so certain of his fate that I orchestrated this war to lure him here with Kenobi, to kill him, thus depriving Sidious of his prized pupil.
That being said, this fight would be a lot more personal than it may seem on the surface. As Maul alluded to, he felt that he should have been the apprentice to rid the galaxy of the Jedi alongside Darth Sidious, rather than Anakin, or more accurately, Vader. Maul held a similar grudge towards Dooku, viewing him as a Sith pretender. As we know, Maul would have also enjoyed taking away one of the most important people to Obi-Wan Kenobi, his true nemesis if he ever had one. I bet if Maul ever realized he had the opportunity to run over a 9-year-old Anakin, he'd probably be kicking himself. Meanwhile, Anakin likely would have jumped at the opportunity to avenge Qui-Gon Jinn. While Obi-Wan was like a brother to him, Qui-Gon was a father figure, even though they only knew each other for a brief period of time. Qui-Gon was the biggest reason as to why he was able to escape slavery and become a Jedi Knight. Qui-Gon had the potential to be the most important person in Anakin's life, but died before that could be realized, at the hands of Darth Maul, and that's not something Anakin would quickly forget. The other X factor in this fight is the fact that Anakin Skywalker is a ticking time bomb. If Maul were to taunt him the way he did with Ahsoka during their duel, it would only enrage Anakin and make him more deadly. Take, for example, Dooku and Anakin's duel on the Invisible Hand. Once Obi-Wan Kenobi is incapacitated, the Count tells Anakin,
"Sense great fear in you, Skywalker. You have hate, you have anger, but you don't use them."
You can see the expression change on the face of the Chosen One as he owns in on the man who took his arm. Dooku was at his mercy as Anakin quickly showcased his proficiency with Gem So through decisively hard strikes to defeat Dooku. Also, think back to Attack of the Clones and how different Anakin dueled with Dooku when he was calm versus the Anakin not long before who slayed a village of Tusken Raiders after they killed his mother. He was essentially a sleeping giant. An angry Anakin is nearly unstoppable, despite some level of overconfidence present in him, as seen when he jumped to the high ground in his duel with Obi-Wan Kenobi. That isn't to say that Maul wasn't also absolutely filled with rage that would fuel him in combat, but an angry Chosen One is on another level. A duel between Anakin and Darth Maul would be a spectacle to behold, both in their prime, as in the time of Revenge of the Sith or Clone Wars Season 7, though an argument could be made for Maul's prime being at the time of the Phantom Menace. We give a slight edge to Clone Wars Season 7 as he's had more battle experience. The clash in the throne room on Mandalore would be intense and dynamic, with both combatants demonstrating their mastery of the Force and lightsaber combat. Anakin fights with controlled fury, his movements fluid and precise, while Maul employs his signature acrobatics and relentless aggression. Maul, ever the cunning strategist, begins to taunt Anakin with sly remarks, probing for weaknesses. His mistake would be mentioning how good it felt to plunge his lightsaber into the stomach of Qui-Gon Jinn, remarking that he knew of Anakin's destiny and how it would shape the future of the galaxy, and that he was going to give him the same fate that he did to Qui-Gon all those years ago. Anakin's vision would blur with rage as Maul's words dig deeper into his wounds. Each strike carried the weight of his pain and his desire for revenge until he found an opening and landed the deciding blow. Ultimately, we just have to give the win to Anakin Skywalker when all is said and done. Would it be an easy victory? Absolutely not. These two would have dueled to a near stalemate, much like Obi-Wan and Anakin or Maul and Ahsoka. It would have come down to one slip-up on Maul's end, giving Anakin an opening, likely Maul running his mouth and enraging Anakin like Dooku did. But do you agree with our take? Do you actually think that Maul could walk away with the victory? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Also, this was our first attempt at making this sort of versus style video. We'd love to hear what you think and are open to any suggestions for a future installment. We decided on starting with Anakin versus Maul thanks to a poll on our community tab, and we'll likely do this again, so be on the lookout. Come join us to chat more at our community Discord server, linked in the description. If you enjoyed today's Star Wars video, we've got more on the screen for you right now. Also make sure to drop a like, and if you're new to the channel, hit subscribe to join the Red Squadron. Until next time, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you. Red 5, standing by.